Hey friends, it's me again. This is Candace. I am going through my breast cancer journey, and we are going to start on day 3. So, up until now, if you haven't seen my videos, I've talked about the diagnosis, how I found it, when I was diagnosed, and then even my doctor's visit from the last day. So, today I'm going to talk a little bit about starting chemo. So after my doctor's visits, I ended up having a echocardiogram and everything came back fine. They do that to make sure that your heart is healthy enough for chemo because it can wreak havoc on a lot of areas, and your heart is included in that. So that came back fine. I was cleared to start chemo. My chemo regimen was going to be the Red Devil. So that would be my first 4 treatments, which would each be 2 weeks apart from each other. And then my last 12 weeks would be individual weeks back to back, and that would be with Taxol. And so if you know anything about the Red Devil, it is not fun. It is as red as it can be. It comes out in a bag that's red. The nurses will put on gloves. They'll put on a full like robe type thing and wear all of that while they are giving it to you through your port or through your arm or wherever it goes in for you. So it also is a drug that will cause a lot of different side effects. And I'll talk a little bit about that, but one of the main side effects that I had with it is like a metallic taste. It makes a lot of people sick. It also takes your hair away, and so we'll talk more about that as we move through. But I did document each chemo treatment that I had, and I would document the day of, what I did, who my nurse was, who was there, that type of thing, how I was feeling afterwards. And then I documented like the week after treatment. So because I had 2 weeks of 2 weeks in between treatments, I would talk about the week of treatment and then the week after. So I may read a little bit of that just so that you can see what that looked like. But my very first chemo treatment, all of my treatments were on Fridays, and my friend that I told you about yesterday, she also had the same treatment day, and a lot of times it was at the same time. And so our very first treatment day, we were there together. Both of our husbands came. They knew each other as well, and so we all kind of sat there together in a row, and they talked and we talked, and this is our first one. I was really concerned about the first one because after my port placement that happened prior that week, I was still very, very sore, and so I was really nervous about that. They gave me a cream to rub on my port, which numbed it, and then I had no problems after that. So I used that cream for the first 3 or 4 treatments probably, and then after that it was just like a bee sting when they would stick that in, so it wasn't too bad. So my first treatment was scheduled at 10, which allowed us time to drop our kids off at school. Then we went and got something to eat for breakfast at a little local diner because I wasn't sure if I would feel like eating afterwards. And so I went ahead, we had breakfast. Once we got to the doctor's appointment, so I would go in each day and each treatment, they would do blood. They would take my blood to make sure my levels were good. I would meet with the doctor or one of the nurse practitioners and make sure and go over that blood work. And then once they signed off, then I would go back to the treatment area. And just so you know, it's really cold in those areas. You're sitting in these chairs that can move. They have wheels on them. I'll tell you a funny story about that later on on another day. But and so the first time we got in there and we went to the corner, and that's kind of where we tried to get every single time, me and my friend that was there too. So we after the treatment, we both went through the treatment. After the treatment, I was feeling okay, a little bit dizzy headed, but nothing crazy. What they do is they pump you with steroids during these treatments, and so a lot of the after effects come several days later. And for me, I noticed that I always felt bad, like more like the third and the fourth day than I did really the day of or the day after. So, like I said, I had the Red Devil. They pumped you with steroids, and if you don't know, chemo is basically where they're just poisoning your body to get rid of this bad thing that's in there. So it can make you feel really terrible. Some are better than others, but it really can do a lot. And especially the Red Devil, it's got a lot of side effects. It can make you physically sick, makes your hair fall out, that kind of thing. And I experienced all of those things, but I was lucky for the most part. I also kind of figured out things that helped. So one of the things that helped me was to drink a slushie either on the way or while I was in treatment. And so we did that. I did that quite often. Sorry, my phone's buzzing a lot, but I did that quite often after the fact. And so anyway, that's a little bit about the first day. It was the day before we went to the beach, and so that was a little sad because I'm used to being out in the sun. I love the sun. I love to be out on the beach. And that following day, so I had it on Friday, and then on Saturday we went to the beach, and I just had to stay out of the sun as much as possible. But that was okay. I mean, for what I was going through, I was okay with that. And with this particular drug, you have to go and get a booster shot the next day. So the rest of the family went on to the beach on Saturday morning. We left Saturday afternoon after I had my booster shot. Like I said, my husband went with me the first time. The second chemo treatment was, like I said, 2 weeks later, July 16th. My friend Lauren went with me. Her mother had dealt with breast cancer, and so she was very well aware of the things that we were going through. And we also met up with Sandy there, who was my friend I was telling you about before. And one of the things that I felt was very important is Sandy's husband would pray with us at the end of each one of these, and he would come in, and even if he wasn't there, Sandy would come in, and we would say a prayer afterwards, just thanking the Lord for getting us through another treatment. And so that meant a lot. That was very, very special. So let's see, that the second one was probably the most memorable, and I'm sorry if I get a little bit emotional. I'm going to try to wrap this up, but so the second one was the day before my brother's wedding, and my hair had really started to fall out at this point. And we were going to spend the weekend at my brother's house, and of course sleeping there. And I did not want to have my hair all over their house, and in particular the bed that I was sleeping in. So I made the decision to go ahead and shave my head. Well, at the time, I think my oldest was like 8, and he was very well aware of what was going on. And I did my best to make sure that I was honest with him and open with him, and gave him the chance to ask questions and all the things. And that day I went in, he knew I was going to shave my head. And that afternoon, when I came home with a bald head, it hit him, and he really figured out that it was real at that point. And I will never, ever, ever, ever forget the look on his face. And he said to me, tears in his eyes falling, "I just didn't want you to lose your hair." And unfortunately, that's part of it. But guess what? My hair grew back, and now it's a pain in the butt. But I tell you all that just to give you the real and the raw, because that's what this is all about. But the whole point, again, of this storytelling time is to make sure that people understand how some of this could be prevented, or at least caught early, to be able to have the best chance. And you know what? That poison that they put in me gave me the best chance. And so early detection, mammogram, self-checks, those things are so important, and I need you all to know that, and I hope that this will serve as a reminder. Y'all have a blessed night. Thank you.